the Camino Frances. If you've walked the Camino Frances, what are your favourite stages? Somebody on the channel asked me that recently. It was a real struggle, but I'm going to tell you what my 10 favourite stages are on the Camino Frances, coming right up. So we're talking about the Camino Frances this week and my favourite stages. And someone asked me, what are your 10 favourite stages, Rob? That was a really tough question because I love all of it. So I consulted my trusty guide from Mr. Brearley. I love his little maps inside the cover here. And I went through and I thought, oh, how do I pick 10 stages out of, how many are there altogether? 33. Although for me, I break it into about 40 stages. And it almost became a process of elimination. Which ones didn't I enjoy as much? And to be honest, I think there's only one stage that I would say that I don't enjoy very much, and that's probably from Fromista to Carrion de los Condes. It's a 16 or 17 kilometre stage on a gravel track right alongside the main road, kind of all the way. Having said I don't enjoy that stage much, would I rather be walking that stage right now than sitting here at home? Yes. So look, the whole of the Camino Frances I think is really terrific, but I've done my best to try and pick my 10 favourite stages. Now, what I thought would be a really good way to show you those stages, we're going to dive into the Gronza website because I don't know whether you realise, if you've been on the site or not, but they have loads of photographs and so on there. And I think it'll make a lot more sense than me trying to talk about these stages, you know, trying to go through my thousands of photos and clips and so on. So let's get into my 10 favourite stages. And we've got that running here on the Gronza website. So let's just go straight over to the website. It's got to be stage 1, hasn't it? Right at the top of the list. And when we're talking about the Camino Frances, let's not fall into the trap of thinking the Camino Frances starts in Saint-Jean-Pied-de-Port and finishes in Santiago de Compostela. It doesn't. It can start anywhere. But it's become a bit of a thing, I think, for many people to start in Saint-Jean. So I've started there a couple of times, and then once I've started a little bit closer to Santiago. But if we're talking about the route from Saint-Jean all the way to Santiago, the stages covered in Mr. Brearley's guidebook, no commercial interest, just like the book, then right at the top would have to be number 1. Why is that my most favourite stage? Let's have a look on the site here. So this stage is quite an arduous one for day 1, of course, because you're heading straight up the hill, up to Junto. It's really steep, up to Horizon, where a lot of people break up the journey. I do. I'd find it a bit of a struggle to get all the way to Roncesvalles in one day, I have to say. So the distance over the ground is 24 kilometres. In Mr. Brearley's guide, he takes, is it Naismith's rule? Takes account of the elevation gain and what is the equivalent effort, you know, in extra kilometres. So I think he makes it 27. So what can you expect on that first stage out of Saint-Jean? Now, on the Gronza website, I don't know whether you realise, but down here we have photos. So let's have a look at some of this. Saint-Jean, of course, is a fantastic little town. Not too touristy, great little places to eat. That iconic view of the bridge, that's actually taken from another bridge. It's kind of looking up the river. Is it the River Neve? And as you look at that bridge, the Camino starts across that bridge from left to right. So it's a wonderful place to spend a bit of time in. Would I spend a couple of days pre-Camino? No, only because I just want to get started and get up the hill. Here we've got some fantastic photographs taken up the hill. If you get clear weather, the views are absolutely stunning. I've had blue skies and sunshine once, and driving rain and wind another time. And this is the little church down in Roncesvalles. Oh, we've got some more pictures. This could be a long video. That's one of the signs on the way up there. This is getting sort of close to the top. That's looking down the main street in Saint-Jean. And this looks like the back of the monastery in Roncesvalles. So stage 1, without a doubt, would have to be one of my favourite stages. the views, you know, it's your first day, the excitement, absolutely phenomenal. What's second? This is so hard. I picked stage 5, which is Puente Reina to Estella. I could easily have picked, you know, coming out of Pamplona and over the Alto del Padon, but I picked this one. So this is a 21-kilometre stage out of Puente Reina, just because it's wonderful scenery, and I love seeing that that village of Siriki, if that's how you pronounce it, up on top of the town. Lorca's a lovely village where I stopped for lunch. Let's have a look at some of the photos down the bottom. I haven't pre-looked at these. Hopefully there's some good ones. That's Siriki. Yeah, there we go. I'm sure if you've been looking at the Camino blogs and photographs, you'll recognise that. It's an amazing town on the hilltop. This is Estella. Where's that one? That's Estella as well. That looks like Siriki. Have we got some pictures here of the countryside? Let's have a look. That's in Estella. Oh, that's an old Roman bridge. Yeah, there's some fantastic, there's old Roman roads, bridges, and all sorts of things on that section. It really is just a beautiful section. And I just love those towns, those small villages that you go through. So number 5 would be one of my favourites. Then we come to section 11, and this is from, we're jumping around a bit, I know, but it's so hard to pick 10 from 33. This is from Belorado to San Juan de Ortega, the countryside. I mean, the section into Belorado is really nice as well, but I love this one because you're going through farmland initially, coming out of Belorado, coming into Villafranca, Montes de Oca. If you're breaking up this stage, there is a wonderful place to stay in there. Hotel Abad, I think it's called. It's kind of like a Parador, but not Parador prices, and it's got an albergue as well. Wonderful place. And then you've got this steep climb going up into the forest. And do look out for the monument to those who died in the Civil War. Very moving monument. You'll see a sign for it as you're going through the forest. It's just 100 metres or so off to the right, and then you probably recognise it when you see it. It's an iconic photograph where you go down this really steep dip and across a little creek and back up again. Through the forest, it's like this huge fire break through the forest, just wonderful scenery until you come out at San Juan de Ortega. The stop after that is going to be Burgos. Let's have a look at some photos. Hopefully we're going to see some great photos. Yep, this is the track through the forest. Where's this? Oh, that's San Juan de Ortega, the church, and just on the left, literally, I think where those gates are is the albergue, and then a little bit further back, there's a cafe. This is Villafranca. Unfortunately, when I've been in Villafranca, the church hasn't been open. That's just next to St. Anton Abad Hotel. This is some of the countryside. This would be early on the way to Villafranca. Really open sort of farmland, beautiful countryside. I better not look at too many of these or we'll run over time. This is up going through the forest again. Just wonderful scenery. Oh yeah, there's a hermitage. I really must, if I walk the Camino Frances again, walk over there, but it's kind of across the other side of a valley. And I'm trying to think where exactly along that path it is. I thought it was a bit further along, not on that section, but we can check that. So there we go. That's number 11. What's next? 13, section 13. And these sections I'm taking from the Gronza guide, from the Brearley guide. Obviously, if you're looking in a different guidebook, they might be broken up into just different sections. So Burgos to Hornillos del Camino. A lot of my favourite sections are on the Meseta. Lots of people say, oh, they don't like the Meseta. Get over it. It's like one of the best bits. So coming out of Burgos, you've got a couple of Ks of coming out of the city, and then you have this gentle climb up onto the Meseta, this glorious, huge open sky, beautiful landscapes. You go through this little village of, how do you pronounce that? Bia de Burgos. and then you're going through Rabe. So there's a couple of little places along the way, and then I've generally stopped in Hornillos. There's a couple of albergues, a couple of casa rurals, really nice places. Let's see what we've got in terms of photos. And this is, oh, where's that? Oh, that's Rabe, one of the, this is the view as you're coming down. You've been walking along the Meseta for a little bit, and that village is Hornillos as you come down the hill into Hornillos. Some people might walk a little bit further to Ontanas or Stanbol, I think would be the next place. This is just Rabe, another village along the way. Leaving Rabe. So I love this section, and a lot of it is an old Roman road, so you get that sense of history and so many pilgrims having walked there before you. It's this little church is just before the hill as you come up, heading up onto the Meseta, and that's again similar shot coming down into Hornillos. Just love those sections on the Meseta. So what's next? Section 14. So this is the one right after it, and this is still on the Meseta. Hornillos to Castrojeriz. Castrojeriz? Oh, my pronunciation is terrible. So a beautiful section, not difficult at all, on the Meseta all the way. As you come from Hornillos, Ontanas is a village kind of right down in a little dip on the Meseta, in a little valley, and it's an amazing place because you're thinking, oh, we should be getting there soon. You know, we're like, it should be only a K until we get to Ontanas, and then suddenly I think you see a church spire first, and then gradually, as you come over the brow of a sort of tiny hill, you see the village in this little dip in the Meseta. It's a wonderful place. And then continue on, if you are continuing on to Castrojeriz, which is again a wonderful old village. Let's have a look at some photos and see what we've got here on the Gronza website. So this is the plateau heading towards Ontanas, so that must be just out of Hornillos. Look at those skies, how could you not love the Meseta? And this is coming into Castrojeriz. I've never quite made it onto the top of the hill to look at the castle on the top. I'm usually too exhausted by the time I get there. Lots of great churches, of course. This is the church on the way into Castrojeriz, which, that's been open both times I've been there. Worth a look. And there's the castle on the hill up above it. Castrojeriz is a really interesting village, town, because it's kind of very long and thin and wrapped around the mountain where that old castle is. This is the ruins of San Anton, which is an old convent just on the way into Castrojeriz, and that's actually an albergue. I dropped in there last time to say hi to the volunteers who are working there. This is coming into Ontanas. So remember, as I said, you're coming along and you can't really see the village, and then you kind of peer over this little dip and then come down into the village. And that's kind of as it appears out of the ground of the Meseta. And that's the road walking into Castrojeriz. I wonder if they've got some pictures coming out of Castrojeriz, because that's interesting. That's the road in. That's St. Anton, the old convent. No, that's that one. What have we got next? 15 consecutive days, still on the Meseta. This one's Castrojeriz to Fromista. So we've got 3 days after each other here on the Meseta. So why do I love this one? Coming out of Castrojeriz, you're climbing up a bit of a steep hill, even higher up onto the Meseta. I guess you must have come down a bit into Castrojeriz and then we're kind of going up again. A lovely plateau and then down again into Fromista. The scenery is just stunning. And let's see what pictures they've got. Quite pleased with the pictures they've got here. So this is having come up onto the plateau out of Castrojeriz. You then go along a couple of Ks and then you're coming down a little bit of a dip. Just be careful in the wet, because there's a bit of a stretch of concrete and that can be a bit slippery. And then you're going across this farmland, fairly flat farmland towards Fromista, which is just a wonderful walk. Where's that one? That's the garden of hostel in Bodia. Okay, this is coming out of Castrojeriz, and you're going to walk up that track right up to the top of the slope. It's not as bad as it looks, and you get a fantastic view from the top of it. What else have we got? Can't remember exactly where that bridge is. This is the church in Bodia. That's coming down off the plateau again after Castrojeriz, but you get a really good sense of the scenery here, don't you? That's sort of down here towards the end of that picture. This is an albergue before you sort of hit the river there. This open farmland of wheat. I just love this scenery and being out in this farmland. Itiro, don't remember that village. Yeah, you get the idea anyway. Lovely, lovely section. What's after that one? 22, so we're jumping forward a bit now. It's so hard to pick, just 10 sections. So this is after Leon. And it's a section that is, once you get out of the sort of urban landscape of Leon, this is not following the main road, this is the sort of cross-country route. There's a couple of alternative routes. You see this is 22B. This is the country one where we go through Hospital de Orbigo, which is a wonderful town. It's got that big long bridge where they used to have the jousting tournaments. And then I would just stress that there's two ways out of Hospital to Astorga. One kind of follows the road. Don't go that way. As you come out of Hospital, take the alternative route to the right up through Belarus. And then it's a lovely rolling countryside on sort of very fine dirt tracks. And of course, if he is still there, you will meet, I've got a mental block. What's David's last name? It'll come back to me. But you may have heard of David, who lives on the Camino and spends his life providing food and drink to the pilgrims passing his little fruit stand, which is called Casa de los Dios, House of the Gods. I'll remember his name, David. But David's very well known, and he's back. He had a year or two off, I think, but I'm pretty sure he's back now. Just lives there very simply on the Camino. So what pictures have we got? I wonder if David's stand will be here. So this is the Gaudi's Palace in Astorga. Astorga is a lovely town. Some really interesting sights there. This is Gaudi's Palace again. This is the bridge coming into Hospital de Orbigo. And I think this is looking towards the village. Place that I've stayed a couple of times is just on the left, overlooking the bridge, which is really nice. This is Astorga again. Have we got some pictures of the hills, I wonder? Cathedral in Astorga. This is the bridge in Hospital. This is coming down into Astorga. So this is probably about 1 kilometre past David's little fruit stand. And then you're heading down and you see those hills in the background. That's kind of where you're headed in the next day or two, up to Fontserberón. What other pictures have we got? The palace again. Oh, that's coming down into... oh, I haven't seen that shot before. That's interesting. So it's from one side of the bridge looking across the bridge into the village of Hospital, and that place on the left, I can recommend. I've stayed there a couple of times. It's the Hostel Don Suero, I think. Great food. That's just another view of the bridge. And Astorga. We've got any scenic views. Oh yeah, this is on the way to Astorga. Got a mental block, where's that? On the way to Astorga. Oh yeah. Coming down into Astorga. Yeah, that'll do that one. What's the next stage? 24, Fontserberón to Ponferrada. So we've jumped ahead a little bit. Why is this a favourite stage? Oh look, the stage before this is really nice. From Astorga into Fontserberón, but again, I've got to pick 10, so I'll pick this one. So you will have walked from Astorga into Rabanal, which is a lovely old stone village. you're then going up the hill to Fontcebadon, which is very close to the Cruz de Ferro. So I've always stayed at Fontcebadon rather than Rabanal, because the Cruz de Ferro is on this map like 2 k's from Fontcebadon, so it allows me to get up early, basically get up at dawn, head up to the Cruz de Ferro, and I can have some nice quiet time there before everybody arrives from Rabanal, because it can get a little bit busy there. So it's probably one of the moments, I think, on the Camino Frances, spending a little bit of time at the Cruz de Ferro. If you're not sure what that is, have a look online, but it's where people drop their stones and unburden themselves and say prayers and so on. It stands for the Iron Cross. And then you've got an absolutely stunning walk from Fontcebadon, and I'll give you a couple of warnings. So you go across through Manjarin, where there's a very interesting little albergue run by a very interesting guy. Lovely walk across the mountaintops with views going forever, lavender everywhere. It's just absolutely amazing. And then just before El Acebo, you start to go down pretty steep. The last time Pat and I walked, we actually took an overnight stop in El Acebo, because I would say from El Acebo down to Molinaseca is probably one of the hardest bits of the Camino. And why is that? Because it's quite a steep downhill, particularly from Riego down to Molinaseca. We broke it up last time, staying at El Acebo, and I kind of thought, it was easier than I remember. But doing it in one go from Fontcebadon to Ponferrada, the previous time, I found that downhill really wrecked my legs. I haven't got great legs. Most people don't have a problem, but I just mentioned that. Molinaseca is a wonderful town on the river, and then of course you're going into Ponferrada, where there's a fantastic old Templar castle. Let's see what photos they've got. Of course, I'm talking mainly about scenery here. One of the things that can make a section really sensational, of course, is the people that you walk with. So I'm just kind of talking about the physical things here. This is coming across the mountaintops above El Acebo, I would suggest, so you can get a sense of the views. This is the Templar Castle in Ponferrada. Oh, don't tell me we're going to have just pictures of that. This is the bridge at Molinaseca. Be nice to be able to see the river. What else have we got? Oh, this is coming down from the Cruz de Ferro. You can see the path to the right of the road. Oh, it's actually coming to the Cruz de Ferro. There we go. There's the Cruz de Ferro there. And there's the Cruz de Ferro a little bit closer up, and people just walk up to the base of the cross and say their prayers and drop their stones and so on. This is the Holly. It's great. Chrome has translated everything for me. That looks like El Acebo to me. This is Molinaseca. This looks like Manjarin. Remember I said there was an interesting albergue? Yeah, that's it. And then again, this is the walk across the mountaintops. Oh, it's just glorious. Wish I could be there now. Just wonderful views. That's coming down, but it's probably just above El Acebo, yeah, on the way down. This is the view of El Acebo. Lots of little places to stay, albergues, casas, and then right down at the end, that might be that building there, is quite a new albergue. I say quite new, it's probably 10 years old. I haven't tried it. It's all very modern and apparently very nice. This is in Molinaseca again, and now we're in Ponferrada. So that's that section. We've got 2 more to go. What have we got here? Section 26, Villafranca del Bierzo to Orbigo. Oh, I'm really challenging my pronunciation today. Why have I picked that one? I guess because of the climb up to Orbigo, because some of this stage isn't fantastic. So let me just try and recall now. You're coming out of Villafranca. All this is really nice, sort of along the river, through the, it's quite heavily wooded. There's a section here around Trabadello where you're actually walking along the side of a road, which is not great. But from kind of La Portella, from there onwards, it's really nice. I've stayed in I've stayed in Villafranca, I've stayed in Ambas Mestas, and I've stayed in Vega. All really nice places. The place we stayed in last time was in Vega. Really outstanding. I'll see if I can find a link to it. It was a little hostel with a cafe, fantastic hosts. So what can you expect? You're going along the valley floor here. There is an alternative route, which I guess is this one, which goes over the mountains. I haven't tried that. You're along the valley floor all the way up to Las Herrerías. I'm struggling, aren't I? Herrerías. And from here you start climbing up to Orbigo. It's a steep climb, probably not as bad as day one. In fact, I'd say it's not. You're going through a couple of villages, it's some pretty steep sections, but wonderful views, really love it. And in this place that I can't pronounce, Las Herrerías, if you've heard of having the ability to hire a horse, rent a horse to go up the hill, there's a guy based in that village that has those horses. If I can remember, I'll put the link in the description below. So you can ride a horse up there. They seem very well cared for, horses. So yeah, that's a fantastic route up there. What kind of pictures have we got? Let's go and have a look. Did I forget pictures on the last section? I hope not. No, we didn't. So this looks like Orbigo. Orbigo is a beautiful old, looks like medieval stone village on the top of the hill. This is kind of on the way up there by the looks of it. Lovely mountain views on the way up. What else have we got? Yeah, this is more like the sort of views that you're getting on the way up to Orbigo. Beautiful. Maybe one of these days I'll try the alternate route out of Villafranca over the mountains. You're starting to get the picture anyway. It's gorgeous. I've been up there once in weather like this and once in driving rain. This looks like Las Herrerías. Is that what that means is that the blacksmith in Spanish, where you can rent the horses? This is coming out of Villafranca. What other pictures have we got? This is obviously on the way up. Yeah, wonderful section. And that's the old church in Orbigo. Great place. If you come out of the church, turn right, there's a little gift shop. And in that building, there's a restaurant as well. Fantastic lunch. And now I think we're on the final one, almost. Yes, this is the final of the 10. So I picked one of the final stages, and it's Portomarin to Palos de Rey. Why that one? I don't know, I just really like it. First of all, Portomarin is a lovely town overlooking the reservoir where they created a dam and flooded the old town and rebuilt the town further up the hill. And the church got rebuilt brick by brick. Portomarin is a lovely place, and I love stopping there for lunch in, can't remember the name of the place. Mirador. Yeah, so then we have this wonderful climb, gentle climb out of Portomarin. Different scenery on these final stages. I should have mentioned that. You know, we're in Galicia now. It's a lot greener, can be a lot wetter. You've got gum trees. You've got these sunken roadways between the fields. It's very, very charming, quite different from some of the earlier stages on the Camino Frances. And some great villages that you're going to pass through, and we've stayed in lots of these. I think in Lagonda, how do you pronounce some of these? Areche. Of course, some of this is in Gallego, not the Castilian Spanish. Abria, stayed there. Palos de Rey, of course. So let's see what pictures we've got along here. And of course, we've got a lot more pilgrims by this stage because lots of them have probably started in Soria. So, yep, you can see it's, you know, a lot sort of denser scenery, lots of forest. Pat loves these final stages, going through the forests. Probably one of my favourite parts of the Camino, to be honest, these final bits. This is coming into Lagon. Oh, we've only got a few photos. Oh, never mind. But that gives you a little bit of flavour. Let's let's jump on to the next section, see some photos. That's actually gone back a section. This is the church in Portomarin. Just want you to see some of the scenery. Oh, it's lovely, isn't it? You don't. It's not big scenery like on the Meseta. You know, we've got huge skies and you can see for, you know, extreme distances. This is all a lot closer, nicer. Well, nicer, different, but really charming sections. You might be wondering why, as my top 10 sort of stages, have I not picked. Let's just go forward a stage because I want to see some more of Galicia. So this is coming into Alzura, that sort of area. I mean, look, it's beautiful. Don't knock the final stages of the Frances. It's really nice. Oh, I can remember that section. It looks like a quagmire here. We had to go up the top. You might be wondering, why haven't I picked the final stage into Santiago as one of my favourites? That would be a very good question. I generally find it, so for me that's probably from Lavacolla. I generally stay in Lavacolla, so I've got a reasonably short day into Santiago on the final day. I find it a bit of a sad day. The walk itself is quite nice from Lavacolla up the hill, up to the Hill of Joy. How do you say that in Spanish? Monte de Gozo. And then from there, you know, it's all becoming very urban very quickly, and you're into Santiago and it's all finished. So it's a nice day, but I wouldn't pick it as one of my top 10 days. And as I've said so many times on this channel, and I'm sure if you've walked the Camino yourself, you would agree, the Camino is totally about the journey. It's not about arriving in Santiago or anything like that. So I think putting all that together, you know, the really great moments have all happened well before I ever get to Santiago. So there we go. It was a bit of a long video. Sorry about that. I actually had to swap out the memory card halfway through. But someone did ask, what are your 10 favourite stages? So those are my 10. If you've walked the Camino Frances before, what stage did you love? What was your absolute favourite stage? Maybe tell us down in the comments below. And if you're planning your first Camino, what's the stage you're most looking forward to? Is it day one out of Saint-Jean, or maybe you're starting a bit further along, you know, in Pamplona or Burgos or somewhere? What stage are you most looking forward to? And are you avoiding the Meseta? Now, I didn't do this intentionally, but out of my top 10 stages, I think at least 3 were on the Meseta. So hopefully that's encouraged you not to skip the Meseta, because I think it's a wonderful part of the Camino and a wonderful part of the whole Camino experience. Probably one of my favourites. What 3 of the days were. So there we go, my 10 favourite stages on the Camino. Thanks for watching and see you soon. And I think this one got published a day late, so sorry about that. A little bit busy at work. Bye for now, see you next week.